continuing on with our divisional previews, we're going to the Northwest, which is close to home for us. The 3 Canadian teams and then 2 pretty solid Northern American teams.
Even though Colorado's in like the Rocky Mountains in the middle of the U.S.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. Whatever.
So let's start with the Vancouver Canucks, the defending division champions.
Solid from the back out.
I just got Roberto Luongo, and we can just move on.
Yeah.
I mean, they're a horrible offensive team. They probably have the least amount of talent for the most part.
Especially the way Naslund played last year. If he could put up another 100-point season, it wouldn't be such an issue.
Even if Naslund scored 30 goals for them, they'd be fine.
Yeah.
And like the Sedins are good for 80 points a year now, pretty much for the rest of their career.
Yeah.
And whoever you put with them is going to score. I just think it's all about Olin, Bieksa, the Sedins,
Willie Mitchell,
and then, of course, Roberto Luongo. So, I mean, I think getting Curtis Sanford was a good pickup for them because he's a decent backup. So, I think Luongo will maybe sit an extra 5 games this year, which will be good for him because I'm sure he was gassed in the last year.
Definitely.
So, Edmonton.
Edmonton, I think, is maybe the weakest in the division. Not much to talk about on offense. Alex Hemsky, maybe like a 60, 70-point guy.
It'll be interesting to see what Hemsky makes of Penner.
Yeah, true.
Because you got to think
Penner
they're going
is
to play
a
together now.
good finisher, yeah.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see, and I'm interested to see how Pitkanen and Surrey do that power play. I think they're going to be one of those teams now that goes from scoring no power play goals, like the Leafs, to just their entire offense relies on the power play. That's not the way the Leafs were last year, but, I mean, I just think that they're going to score. You got Stoll, Pitkanen,
he's a good point player.
Surrey. Well, Stoll's probably going to move to the half boards now. So you're going to have Stoll, you're going to have Pitkanen, Surrey, Hemsky, Penner in front of the net, and Stoll on the side.
That's pretty decent.
I think that's a good power play.
Yeah.
Because you got Penner screening a goalie on a Surrey shot.
He's a beast. He's like 6'6".
Yeah, I know. And Surrey can really cannon, get behind one.
Yeah.
So I just think they're going to have a really good power play, but I think even strength, they're going to be a horrible team.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's going to do them in.
Yeah, goaltending, not much to talk about.
They're pretty average. Dwayne Wilson's pretty average.
Yeah.
We don't need to talk about him.
All right, so let's move on to Minnesota.
Let's do it. So, Marian Gaborik and Pavel Demitra are great when they're healthy. We know that much.
The only issue is
if they're healthy.
Can they stay healthy?
And that team cannot win without Gaborik, really.
No.
They're a totally different team with him in the lineup.
Yeah.
Like, he's definitely a top 5 talent in the league, but he never plays. So it's definitely an issue for them. They're always a good defensive team. It doesn't even matter who they have on defense because Jacques Lemaire is the most boring coach in the league.
Yeah.
So he basically kills hockey.
The thing for me with Minnesota is they got so many points winning shootouts last year. You know, like the Cards could not fall the same way this year. They could not, you know, like they may give up 1 extra goal in overtime or something.
And plus, Backstrom, you never know what you're going to get because, I mean...
He had a good season last year, but that's all
he could be the next Mika Kiprasov or he could be the next Cam Ward. So,
Jimmy Carey.
Yeah, exactly. So you never really quite know. You can never judge a goalie until he plays a full year, too.
Yeah, true.
So speaking of Mika Kiprasov...
Go to Calgary.
Calgary Flames. Bringing in Mike Keenan, who knows what's going to happen there.
Yeah.
They overpaid for Corey Sarich, but I mean, he's a Calgary Flamer.
Yeah.
So
good defensive style hockey.
Yeah, I think he's going to be a good player. Getting rid of Hamrlik was a good decision. I mean, I don't know about a Coin. I think he might be over the hill now. I think his time.
He might be one of those guys who doesn't really fit the new NHL.
Yeah, I think that's the way it is. I think that's the way it is for him. But anytime you can do some of like the forwards they have, Blanco, Tanguay, Aginla, Huselius, Lombardi's getting better. You got enough on the back end, and of course you got Mika Kiprasov in the goal. I mean, I think they're going to be great, and they're going to probably, on paper, they might be the best Canadian team.
Yeah.
But they didn't play like it last year.
I'd say if they go back to their defensive style, they'll have a solid season.
No, yeah, I totally agree. So let's move on to the Colorado Avalanche.
Sure.
And
I think they're really solid up front now. Like Paul Stastny, Wojciech Wolski, like
they scored a lot of goals last year. They were top 10 in scoring last year.
Yeah, and I'd like to see Svatos maybe shake off his sophomore jinx.
Yeah, and Wolski and Stastny and Smith and Sakic and getting Hannon on defense is really good. Jordan Leopold's going to play a full year this year. him and Lyles are both very good offensive players.
Mm-hmm.
You got Hannon on the back end playing good defense. Does Carlos Grashton still play for them on defense?
Second best shot blocker in the league.
He's a very good defensive defenseman. Peter Budaj is about as average gets in terms of goaltending.
That's the only thing for me is goaltending.
I think Theodore's time has passed. I don't think he's coming back.
Flash in the pan.
No, yeah, I 2 good seasons,
Yeah.
and that's pretty much it. So I think Theodore's done. So I don't think we can ever talk about him coming back ever again. I think he's done.
Okay.
I mean, prove me wrong, Jose, but I think you're done.
I think
I'm sure you're watching this.
Oh yeah, definitely. Everyone does.
But for me, it's all about goaltending with that team. But I think they're going to be. I'm looking forward. Of all the Western Conference teams, I actually want to watch them the most.
Yeah, they will be exciting.
I think they're going to be a fun team to watch because you got Sakic and then you got Stastny. It's kind of like passing.
And they got that new guy coming in, Holinka.
Yeah, and it's too bad. Poor Andrew Burnett. He scores 80 points last year. We don't even talk about him because it's probably the most unnoticed 80-point year I've ever seen.
Yeah,
but
he always has solid seasons.
But him and Sakic work magic together, I guess. Yeah. But I don't understand it. I don't see him. I don't see any talent in him, but he still scores a lot of goals. So props to him. So next we're gonna move on to the Pacific.
Yeah. Well, let's do our leaders and our losers.
Whoops. Okay, so division winner.
Calgary Flames. I think the improved defense is going to help Kiprusoff have another MVP season.
I might regret this. I think Mike Keane is going to hurt the Flames a bit, so I'm going to go with the Colorado Avalanche as the division winners. I just think Joel Quenneville is a very good coach, and he's a good defensive-oriented coach, so I think it's not going to worry. Budaj is going to be a question mark for them to come playoff time. I don't think the regular season matters that much in terms of goaltending most of the time. And who do you think the division loser is going to be?
I was leaning towards Edmonton. I'm going to go with Minnesota now.
I'm going to go with Edmonton.
Edmonton, so?
I'm going to stick with Edmonton. I mean, I think Vancouver and Calgary are around the same, and then Colorado, I mean, you could pick them between Vancouver, Calgary, and Colorado, but then I think, obviously, Minnesota is just below them, and then Edmonton is as well. And then who do you think the division MVP is going to be? There's a lot of good players in this division, too.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Robbie Luongo.
So am I. I mean, I got him as the Desmond winner, so I think you got to pick the Desmond winner as the MVP.
Definitely.
All right, well, we're going to move on to the Pacific, so we'll see you later with the Pacific.